Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. Is it possible to change? Is it possible to change very long-held, deeply ingrained habits? Why does it seem so hard? And most importantly, why do we fail? Before I begin, let me start with my credentials. I used to be the biggest addict on the planet. I used to get super drunk almost every night for like over 10 years. Sometimes in the morning. Used to smoke cigarettes, and I was the biggest pothead of all time. I'm talking smoking from morning to night, almost nonstop. Told myself that I'm a writer and an artist, and so it's not only fine, it's good. And I used to eat everything in sight. No breaks between meals, really. Just whatever was around, I ate all of it. Ate to the point of just being sick and really stressed about social gatherings where I knew there'd be food, and had a very hard time just controlling myself, especially in those places where there's just endless free food. So I say all this as the former biggest addict with the worst habits of anyone I knew. Today, proud to say, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I really love healthy food in normal amounts. I went from being someone a coworker once described as the most extreme person she ever met to a very boring person at parties. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I feel amazing all the time. I'm not on a crazy roller coaster of ups and downs, highs and lows. Always worried I'll run out of something I'll need to feel better. And so believe me, if I can change, anybody truly can change. And in order to understand how to change, and I'll share how I changed, but first, the first step and the most important step is to understand what stops us from changing. This is really the root cause of any lasting change, is first understanding what prevents us, why we fail. And there are 4 reasons that we have a hard time and are unable to make lasting lifetime changes. And that first one is fear. We build it up in our minds so much. We've probably tried 1,000,000 times and failed. We have this aversion to failure. And this fear is paralyzing. It prevents us from trying big things, from believing in ourselves. And the fear creates the dragon. The dragon doesn't exist unless we create it. Think of any movie that has a horrifying villain, a monster. It's only scary when the music is getting you all tense, and when the lights are super dark and it's hard to see, and everything is there designed to make us afraid. If the lights were on, if the music was cheerful, we would laugh when the monster came out. We'd see the guy in the suit and it would just lose its illusion. If everyone just laughed in the movie instead of running terrified from the monster, we would all just think it's a comedy we're watching. Without that fear, it's just something we are consistently choosing to do unconsciously without our awareness or intention. With fear, it's this dreaded task that is daunting and monumental, this hard and arduous journey, instead of what it truly is, the joyful and profoundly beneficial adventure of our life. The second reason we fail and we find it very difficult to change our habits is the myth that they are hard to break. And fear ties directly into this myth and this brainwashing. Not doing something is the easiest thing in the world. It's easier than going to the store or calling some guy and spending tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure you always have a steady supply of something, to devote so much time to consuming some product or substance or into some activity. And if we really look closely, we see all the time in our lives that it's actually incredibly easy to break habits. You know, maybe we're super tired and we skip brushing one night, or we take a different route to work, a route that we've taken every single day 1,000 times. We can change these habits and not suffer in the slightest. If you go on a long flight and you don't have internet, we all get through it. If you're used to the habit of making your bed and you're staying in a hotel where they do it for you, you don't suffer that you're not giving in to your habit. There's really nothing we do that we do solely because it's a habit. We do them subconsciously because we believe they have some benefit to ourselves. We believe that if we didn't do it, we'd be missing out on something. And so we believe we'd be giving something up and that we would be sacrificing. And that is what creates that subconscious myth that it's very hard to break. And the way we overcome that myth that they're so hard to break is by recognizing we are not giving up anything. We are gaining everything. The habits we want to break and the changes we want to make, we are doing so because our highest self, our wisest self, understands that they are harmful, that they are taking something from us. But deep down in our subconscious, we got some brainwashing that those things are serving us, that they do something for us, that they provide relief, excitement, things that we consciously know is not true, but subconsciously we believe that they make life worth living, and that under that circumstance, it's better to, have it and either die younger than be miserable. What's the point of a long life if we're miserable? But we have to deal with that subconscious brainwashing. Those ads for alcohol that seep into our subconscious that make us believe that that's a good night, that cigarettes calm us and make us relaxed, that those exotic, hyper-stimulating foods and alluring technologies are just what we need to bring us a moment of relief from the suffering of not having those things. And so as long as we believe those subconscious messages, those cues we get from society, friends and family, ads, movies, and everything else, that they bring pleasure and joy and happiness, that there's no life without it, then we are going to suffer changing our habits. We are going to find it difficult. We are going to feel like we're giving something up. We're going to have to use constant effort, willpower, and discipline. We're going to exchange one addiction for another because we're going to need some relief from that suffering. And in a moment of weakness, in a moment of high stress, when we're not thinking clearly, we're going to turn back to our old habits. Because constant vigilance and effort is not sustainable. Which brings me to the third reason we fail and find it so hard to change our habits, which is a lack of commitment. We maybe too tepidly make the decision. We maybe hope for a day where we just don't want to do the habit anymore. But then as soon as we get bad news or have a hard day, we think, just one is okay. We didn't make a strong commitment, and so we listen to that lower mind of base impulses, of craving, pleasure, desire. We forget that higher voice within us. We forget the reasons we quit in the first place, because maybe our health was bad, but now it's better, and we've forgotten our motivation. So it's incredibly important that we choose a date, not too far in the future, not waiting for New Year's, but we choose a date very soon, once we have followed the steps in this podcast, and make a strong commitment that we will never do that thing again. Understand there is no just one time. One time starts us in the trap again. Habits are not a single event. They are a chain reaction set off by that first time. So we have to realize there will be hard days, and that those things that we think made life less stressful were not the solutions. They made us more stressed. They stressed us about our health, stressed us about our relationships, and that regular people without bad habits also have stressful, difficult days. And it is only the addict, the person with those habits, who blames the not having their substance or activity for their stress. So we just have to accept that those ups and downs are part of life, that we can keep moving in that direction towards inner peace. But as we move along the way, that journey through the mountains is full of ups and downs. And we get closer to the top, but there's still, sometimes you got to go down before you can go up. That is just the nature of life. And we always have yoga and meditation and going for a walk when we do feel those heavy emotions. We don't have to swap one addiction for another. We don't have to turn to sweets, to quit cigarettes. When we realize these 4 roadblocks to changing our habits and quitting, it does not become a stressful experience. It becomes the greatest gift we can give ourselves. Stress-free and enjoyable. And it starts as soon as we set that date, make that commitment to ourselves. Make that commitment no matter what. We will never go back. If it's cigarettes, that means no tobacco of any kind, no nicotine at all. If it's alcohol, not one drop. And really understanding that it's not a habit. We are not habitualized to do these things. It is pure and simple drug addiction. And we have to get those substances out of our body, realize that they do nothing for us. And even in 99% of the time, they are not physically addictive. We don't physically have withdrawal symptoms that are very unpleasant. It is all psychological because we believe the brainwashing that they help us, that we need them, and that is what makes changing so hard. The 4th reason why changing habits seems so hard is because we fail to recognize what they did do for us. Most people go on a diet. They follow a strict protocol to lose weight. And they never get to the core of why they overeat. they never solve the root cause. And so they go diet to diet, yo-yo weight loss, gaining and losing, because we never get to the true underlying cause of eating unconsciously, eating emotionally. We fail to see that we smoke because it takes our mind off of our suffering that is caused by the craving, the smoking. We drink and do other substances to escape ourselves, to obliterate our mind and our exhaustive, normal thought patterns. We lose ourselves into work or gambling or shopping because they focus our mind away from where it normally wanders to, which is not peaceful or joyful. There may be underlying trauma that is what we are trying to escape, the memories, the thoughts. And addiction may have been the thing that served us for a long time because we didn't know any other way to process those experiences. But as long as we avoid those root causes, we will keep falling for the trap, replacing one addiction for another, masking the symptoms with strict diets that control our choices for a brief time, or try to force change through intense effort, constant focus, and discipline. But if we get to the root cause, and with substances, it may simply be that drug addiction, that chemical addiction in our bodies, that mental conditioning that tells us we need it, even though the physical sensation and craving is almost imperceptible. But whatever we are going through, whether it is craving a substance, craving a bad habit, or trying to escape and avoid dealing with some difficult experience, whether it's mental, whether it's trauma, we can sit with all of these things. We can give space to them. We can witness them and shine a light on them so those monsters look like goofy people in goofy costumes. The way to change any habit is to sit with the craving and witness it passing. This is how we take back control. This is how we effortlessly create the habit of conscious choices instead of unconscious habits. We must remember that it is extremely easy to break any habit. It is the easiest thing in the world. It is the most beneficial thing we can do. And it will be the most joyful and exciting journey of our lives because we know how important and wonderful it is. On day one, we can be excited to be ex-smokers, non-drinkers, former addicts. How wonderful it is to be free. You won't envy anybody who is still addicted because they are envying you. You've done the most remarkable thing they all wish they could do. You will pity them. You will empathize with them. You will offer help if they come to you asking for help, and share with them how easy and joyful it is to be free from the habit. Some people do live their whole life forcing their willpower and discipline and effort to change their habits, but it's very few, and it's very difficult, and it's not the kind of life that we all want to live. So instead of forcing that change, believing it's a grind, we can change our mind to be more conscious, more aware, and more intentional. When we do that, our lives become more conscious, more aware, and more intentional. Change the mind, and we can change anything we want to in our lives. The mind always comes first. Thank you so much for listening. In our chaotic lives, when we're pulled in a million directions, it's very important that we have these daily reminders, that we keep these intentions and thoughts that are wise and good rattling around in our brains, especially during those hard times and weak moments. And so that is part of the reason I am giving away 4 transformative books completely for free on eastwesticism.org. And so if you're struggling with habits, addiction, mental habits, overthinking, these books are for you. Thank you so much again. Much love. Is there more to this universe than science can show us? Is there anything mystical or miraculous in the remote corners of the earth that I could see with my own 2 eyes? My newest book, Aloneness to Oneness, is that journey of discovery. From the rebellious kid who rejected it all, to the adult searching for something deeper, to the person I am today. It is all of the stories, wisdom, lessons, insights, and inspirations I gained on this adventure. If you've ever questioned, doubted, or wondered about the meaning of it all, this book is for you.